We're going to just bring Representative Mecklin up for your bill. We're going to be laying this bill over as well so that we can get to our testifiers through. So Representative Mecklin, if you'd introduce your bill, and if you are on cue to testify with Representative Mecklin, please feel free to join him at the table.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move House File 4153, and I have a few oral amendments to kind of go through. We just got to flip-flop 2 words.
It sounds good. Representative Mecklin, to your amendment, please move your amendment.
Okay, I'm going to move the following oral amendment. Page 2, line 20, delete the first section and insert subdivision.
All right.
Then on page 3, line 18, delete subdivision and insert section. If anybody has any questions, Mr. Eloff can explain.
Mr. Eloff, would you like to just repeat those changes, those oral amendments from Representative Mecklin?
Page 2, line 20, delete the first section and insert subdivision. Page 3, line 18, delete subdivision and insert section.
Does everyone on the committee understand the oral amendments from Representative Mecklin? As Representative Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask House Research, does that work? Is it cool? What's the impact? Yeah.
Mr. Eloff, what's the impact of those oral amendments?
Mr. Chair, Representative Kraft, the impact is to get it right. That makes sense.
And in the shape that the whatever. All right, sounds good. All in favor of the oral amendments from Representative Mecklin, as stated by Mr. Eloff, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The oral amendments stand. Representative Mecklin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what this bill is it came out of a conversation. Chair Acom and I had the privilege of speaking on in a conference for MNSEA, and through just the whole panel discussion and everything, the thought came up about, I've heard forever since I've been here how bad the coal plant is, and then all of a sudden we have all this negativity towards data centers, and I posed the question to the crowd. It's starting to sound like people are saying that data centers are worse than our coal plant, and the one young lady that was there agreed with me. So out of that, there was also an amendment last year in the other chamber committee hearing where they were going to, by one of the DFL members, that to give the Sherco a carve-out of the then moving data center bill, which through the course of last summer led to an idea with the transitioning communities of all 8 of them, and working with that group. I did sit on that legislative work group for a while, and we're dumping all this money into these 8 host communities. These 8 host communities are desperately trying to find something to backfill their economic loss, and that's where this really derived from. But with that, Mr. Chair, because I know we're getting very short on time, I do have several testifiers if you would like to call them up.
Thank you. Could Mr. Gary Gray and Bruce Massett come to the testifying table? And if you could keep your comments within that 30 seconds to a minute range, you are going to get extra treats from Representative Mecklin, potentially.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Gary Gray. I'm serving as Sherburne County Commissioner, District 4. We are in support of House File 4153. Sherco represents, the coal plant represents 65% of the city of Becker's property tax. It represents 34% of the school district's base tax and 10% of the county tax. Our early efforts to try and secure data centers was brought on by Google, which the state provided $20 million for the extension of the business park in Becker. We're currently right next to that business park. Amazon and Microsoft have secured property for this. Sadly, we're sweeping data legislation effectively wiped out the viability for these data centers. In a nutshell, last year's legislation erased a decade's worth of work previous commissioners and the city of Becker have put together to put data centers around the coal plant. We currently are 2 existing data centers. Both are in Sherburne County. One is Target Corporation and United Health. We do not have a problem with data centers in Sherburne County. Currently, the pros and cons of all the economics and the environmental issues of it. We look at the data centers that would be a net increase or not any increase in water usage at all because of what the current property is being used for. The energy transition communities want to continuously seek assistance from the state of Minnesota. We'd rather complete our transition away from old energy generation facilities by developing our commercial and industrial sectors and rebuilding our lost property tax base. But we cannot accomplish this with the entire industries are eliminated from the consideration. Exemption from this new legislation is a reasonable request, which will not only benefit our transitioning communities, but also advance the state's energy and economic development goals and objectives. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Massett, if you'd introduce yourself for the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Bruce Messelt. I serve as the administrator for Sherburne County. In respect for your time, I'll keep comments very short. Really, the focus of this bill is to address the energy transition communities, not the state as a whole, with respect to the data center legislation. Several of the communities were in work with the support of the state at looking at redevelopment, not new development, of antiquated energy sites for data centers. It's almost an ideal use if you think about a heavy industrial site like Sherco that's not around residential area. It replaces water usage used by Sherco or by area farm fields, so there's no net increase in water utilization, and it has a willing energy provider. So for a decade, with the state's assistance of over $20 million, that's exactly what we've been doing. Unfortunately, the legislation really didn't address the redevelopment concepts within these very limited number of communities. This bill simply would do that. It would address and recognize only those communities that were on this path. Not all of them are going to have data centers for other reasons, but at least it would allow us to finish the work that you asked us to do a decade ago when Sherco closed. And that's all we're asking. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, could we get Mr. Kohlberger and Sanders to come? And then if one person ends and you know you're on the list, go fill that person's spot. Thank you. If you'd like to introduce yourself for the committee, thank you.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Chair Swedzinski, Chair Acom, committee members. My name is Mark Kobinger. I'm the mayor of Becker, and I want to thank Representative Mecklen for authoring House File 4153. He's been a great advocate for us. When Sherco came to our community in the 1970s, our community, including my dad, welcomed them with open arms. When others suffered from the NIMBY syndrome, Becker charted a new course with the PIMBY syndrome, please in my backyard. Now my community is faced with the loss of the Sherco plant, hundreds of jobs, 70% of our city tax base, a full third of our schools tax base, and we've been searching for a decade for bipartisan solutions. 9 years ago, we thought we had one with the natural gas generating plant signed by Governor Dayton, a bipartisan agreement that would have really helped us. We lost that. We kind of feel like that political football that was discussed a little bit earlier. It's been said Becker has the most ideal physical location for a data center in the entire United States. I not only believe that for the reasons Administrator Messelt talked about, we also have the local expertise to be able to do this. We've been hosting heavy industrial partners, businesses since the 1970s, from the Sherco plant to the Northern Metals recycling plant, which is the most environmentally friendly recycling plant on the face of the earth. We value our tax base. We're here looking for help. We also value our natural resources, 300 acres of parkland, the Mississippi and Elk Rivers. We're simply here asking for some help. We're willing to do the hard work. We're just asking for a chance. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Sanders and Mr. Johnson, if you'd make your way to the table.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members. My name is Jacob Sanders, and I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Becker. I appreciate the committee giving me the opportunity to speak in support of this bill that Representative Mecklen has presented, which provides Becker and other transition communities that invested substantial time, effort, and resources into positioning themselves for data center development, which is an essential step towards our long-term stability as a community. In partnership with local, state, county, and regional stakeholders, Becker has made attracting large-scale site users, particularly data centers, a central strategy for maintaining economic stability as the Sherco power plant undergoes decommissioning. We've taken a proactive approach in creating a strong environment for major site development by completing an alternative urban area-wide review, collaborating with Xcel Energy on a joint master plan for their property, and undertaking a multi-year overhaul of our zoning code. These efforts balance community and environmental priorities while making Becker more development ready. A reoccurring concern I've heard is that cities our size lack the capacity and expertise to properly analyze and review the impacts of data centers on local resources and communities. In Becker's case, I believe the opposite is true. Despite our small size, we're exceptionally resourceful. Over the past decade, we have worked directly with 3 major hyperscale companies and have built deep experience in planning for, evaluating, and strategizing around development. While Minnesota offers many advantages for data centers, the layers of regulatory and statutory requirements have added to uncertainty on timing and siting these developments, reducing the competitiveness of Minnesota in this sector. This has directly affected Becker's ability to replace the tax base and jobs that will be lost as the plant is decommissioned. City of Becker is grateful again to Representative Meckland for introducing the bill, which would remove the layer of complexity from data center development process in Becker and provide a much-needed boost to our efforts to secure long-term stability and land a data center. We respectfully urge the committee approve the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. And then if you'd introduce yourself for the committee, and then we could have Mr. McCall come.
Thank you, Mr.
Meckel.
Chair. My name is John Johnson. I'm a county commissioner in Itasca County. And as I spoke earlier, I represent District 3 in Itasca County. And in greater Minnesota, a county is a community. So when we talk about an energy transition community, we're really talking about my entire county and neighboring counties. So to have legislation presented and proposed that could help us, not particularly make, but help us offset the significant economic impact we are about to experience in Cohasset at the Clay Boswell plant, I urge this committee to support HF4153 and do all that they can to help us transition our communities and keep economic viability in our region. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. If you'd like to introduce yourself for the committee? And then
Mr. Chair and members, Chasen Meckel, Assistant Division Director for Ecological and Water Resources at the DNR. Just want to speak to the provisions in the bill that relate to 103G 265 Subdivision 5. This is the responsibilities of the DNR to provide information assessing the availability of water and any constraints that there might be for a prospective new facility. This language is voluntary. We've only had one company and community take us up so far on this, but they did find it helpful. And I do want to point out that on line 2.15, with regard to the language of a net increase, the total volume of water isn't the only important consideration when evaluating the ability of a water source to meet a project's water use needs. The seasonality, intensity of pumping make a huge difference. I'll illustrate. 100 million gallons of year used over 12 months is very different than 100 million gallons of water used over a period of 2 months. Those are the things that we evaluate. Those are the things that we can help a prospective project understand what the constraints might be, which ultimately in the end slow down a project from moving forward if they find these things out later in time. So we just recommend that the proposed revisions for 103G aren't necessary. It is voluntary, and we hope to be able to provide this service to more prospective businesses and communities. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else? Are there any questions for the testifiers that we've had so far? All right, is there anyone from the public that would like to testify for or against Representative Mecklen's 4153? All right. Members, there's also some written testimony in your materials regarding this bill. Are there any questions for Representative Mecklen? All right, Representative Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Representative Mecklen for bringing the bill. So I actually now sit on the I actually now sit on the ETAC, Energy Transition Advisory Committee.
Okay.
So I really, what's that?
Is your mic on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, all right.
And to be louder? All right.
That's it. There we go.
I'm on the ETAC, so I really sympathize with the transitions that these communities are facing. My concern is that does the reasons for, protecting water that we put into the bill last year, I think they're still there. Are they not?
Representative Mecklen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think as you heard earlier, the systems that are in place right now are using far more water. The coal plant, I believe, does the coal plant use water as well? Yes, it does. I know the nuclear plant does. So they did all these studies 8 years ago when it was the interest with Google. They did a very comprehensive study back then. Nobody is going to allow anything negative to happen in that regard from the community, I mean, whether it's the county or the city. And if you were to look at how the Sherco plant, where it pulls its water from, it's literally a gallon in, gallon out. They're literally pulling it out of the river. They filter it first. There is conversation about doing a closed loop system so it wouldn't be an ongoing constant use of groundwater or
River water.
body to water. So that could be part of the final solution. But the idea is to take these sites that are being so desperately hit by a forced closure, which wasn't their plan, but not only replace the jobs, but also backfill the economic loss. And when these two came about, because one of them, for 100% for sure at this point, if nothing changes, is completely out. The problem is they're not selling the land actively either, so there's not even the ability to look for something else to backfill this economic loss. And this has been going on for, as Mr. Meslet said, a decade. And, oh, by the way, I just want to get very clear, Sherburne will host a nuke facility. I hear it all the time from them. And it was an attempt, I mean, I mean, I can certainly work with Patty if she's got some things in here. I see I'm getting a really big smile right now. She's looking forward to doing this tomorrow morning, first thing. But this was just going through all these things. I mean, we have been the host to all of your baseload power for decades. And with that all being shut down, as well as Cohasset and several others. And that's where this idea derived from. So are we laying this over now? What are we doing?
Well, we're still taking questions from
Okay.
members.
Well, I don't know how much time we have.
Representative Kraft.
Yeah, so I didn't realize the time. We did just have a pretty major announcement of a data center coming to this state, even with everything we had just done. So I'm a little, hearing what you're saying, I'm trying, having balancing that in my mind with what just happened. So thank you.
Any other questions for Representative Meckland? All right, Representative Meckland, would you like to do some closing comments?
I just did.
All right. All right, we will lay House File 4153 over.